Hey folks, it's Sean here, and today I'm continuing the review of the backyard chicken breeds, and we have a real cool one this time. It's the Sicilian Buttercup, so stay tuned. Alright, so like I said, this is part of a series reviewing backyard chicken breeds that we have or have had in the past, kind of giving a history, a little bit of background, what to expect, and then our personal experiences with them in our flock, how they've worked out, if we'd get them again or not, just a review to maybe help you decide on the chickens that are right for you. It's part of a series. The playlist, including all of the videos, will be in the description below. A link to it, I'll also put it at the end over here on the screen. And they'll continue to come out through the year, maybe into next year, so keep an eye on that. Subscribe and hit the bell if you would like to know when more come out, and feel free to leave your comments with questions or your experiences with these breeds too. But for now, let's get into the Sicilian Buttercup. So first, let's start off with a little bit of background on the breed. The Sicilian Buttercup is, as you would suspect, from Sicily. It's a Mediterranean breed of chicken. It came over to the U.S. In about 1835 on a ship, but it was really established in the country in the 1890s as a breed. In the early 1900s was officially recognized as a breed, and in the early to mid 1900s actually was kind of endangered of disappearing as a breed, but is kind of seeing a resurgence now, although still rare. You don't see them a whole lot. I certainly didn't know about them until we saw them, and I just had to get one. Just because they're rare and they look so cool. The Buttercup part of their name comes from their appearance, specifically their comb, which is buttercup shaped, kind of a crown on the top of their head, really their identifying signature feature. And it's actually two single combs that kind of form together to make that crown shape, and really what makes this breed special. Other parts of their appearance are their golden plume with the black speckles. It's not a loose-fitting feather. It sits tightly to their body, and they're kind of willowy gold feet, which is kind of neat too. With the hens, you're going to get kind of a medium-sized chicken around the 5-pound mark. Although they look a little bit smaller than other medium-sized chickens in my opinion, and it's just because their feathers are a little more compact, a little more tight, and not so fluffy. So compared to our other kind of 5-pound hens, our Buttercup looks a little bit smaller, but weight-wise, if you're raising them for meat, things like that, they're going to be about average size. Speaking of raising them for meat or eggs, let's get into that. They are a dual-purpose bird. You can raise them for meat or eggs, though they are not particularly exceptional at either of them. As far as eggs go, they're going to lay a medium to small white egg. Ours tends to be medium. I see reports of people saying that they get small eggs. Our Buttercup lays pretty medium-sized eggs, and their production is okay. It's in the mid-range. You're going to get about 150 to 180 per year or so. So they're adequate egg layers, but they are not great egg-laying hens. And meat birds, again, they're fine for meat birds. They're not known as like a meat bird that people would raise for that. I think that they're okay when you have them, but if you are specifically looking for meat birds, you can probably go better routes. If you're specifically looking for egg-laying hens, you could also probably go better routes. Having said that, if there are better options for meat birds and better options for egg-laying birds, why would we get one? Well, honestly, it's just because they're so darn pretty, and sometimes, you just have a chicken or two for the fun of it to get a different variety. I do have to say, though, that other than the pretty looks, we have found the Sicilian Buttercup to be useful in our flock in unexpected ways. And one in particular is her temperament. because what you're going to find with these birds is that they are kind of flighty. They do not like to be penned in. They're great foragers. They're great for free ranging. They're not so great if you're just going to keep them in the coop all day. They're going to go nuts. But with that flightiness comes this super awareness. She's pretty skittish. She's the most skittish chicken in our flock. She will hide from birds that aren't dangerous, crows and doves and anything that flies over. She will hide from a noise that happens that the other chickens don't seem to be bothered by. She'll even hide from airplanes flying over as though it's a hawk. And we find this to be a good thing because usually when she gets scared and runs, the others, kind of like a flock of sheep, follow her and they run too. And we have had issues in the past with hawk attacks. We've had a hawk take one of our chickens before we had this one, so the skittishness of her running and hiding from everything and kind of spooking all the other chickens to do that, we find to be a great kind of security system for our chickens who otherwise kind of go about their business and maybe don't take threats seriously enough. So she's kind of the watchdog of our flock, even if she's not going to be the protector of the flock. She definitely alerts the flock of any potential dangers even when they're not there. So we find, I think, she kind of keeps the flock safe. But like I said, they are definitely an active chicken and a little bit skittish. At least ours is skittish of humans. So while the other ones will come and want to perch on my lap if I sit here too long, or just run to the door when we come, if you're looking for a chicken like that, this might not be the breed for you. They tend to like to be left alone, like to be just left to roam and stay active, not really into being held and cuddled if that's what you're getting your chickens for. There's better breeds, more human-loving breeds maybe. It's just because she's scared. That's really the reason why. I mentioned their desire to free range and not be hemmed in as it bridges to another thing, which is that they can be kind of a noisy chicken, especially on those days that maybe you're not up as early as normal, ready to let them out to free range out of the run or the coop. She will let you know that you're late to let her out. Also, even though we have a few nesting boxes for them to lay eggs in, as chickens do, they all tend to want the same one. And if there's a chicken in that box and she's ready to lay, she kind of stands at the door and just yells at that other chicken for a while. And she loves to announce her eggs like most hens do, but she's a little bit more vocal about it. Also with the vocals, she's got kind of a higher pitch voice, which is kind of neat because you can always identify, our Buttercup's name is Phoebe, and we can always say, oh, Phoebe laid an egg. You can just tell her sound is different than the others. It's more high pitched and it's kind of a cute little sound for sure. Being a Mediterranean breed of chicken, they're really great for the warm weather. They weather that heat really well as long as they have adequate shade and water like chickens need. One thing we found is that they're probably not the best breed for the winters we get here in northern Colorado with that double comb. Unfortunately, ours has experienced a little bit of frostbite in those below zero temperatures. And so I do recommend these breeds for warmer, more mild winter areas, and probably not for areas like ours that can get down to, the negative 20s. But we're kind of in a conundrum where we live because the winter can get down to in the negative 20s, and the summer can get up to 108, 109 degrees. And so we have some chickens that are real hardy in the winter, but probably have a rough time through the summer. On the flip side, she's great in the summer, handles that warm weather, but unfortunately, with that big, beautiful comb, it got some frostbite, and those feathers that aren't as poofy and aren't as thick, I just wouldn't recommend it for the cold weather. So for that reason, we're really glad we have ours, but I don't know that we're going to get this breed again. I feel bad for her. I feel like she struggles through the winter. One other thing to consider is that they don't tend to be broody. They're just too active and too much into what they're doing to be broody. So if you're raising chicks, if you're hatching your own eggs and doing that with with a natural process, not an incubator, this wouldn't be the breed for you either. If you're not raising a Sicilian Buttercup specifically for meat, or in other words, if you don't have like a processing date, if you're not looking to keep them for just 6 months and process them into a meat bird, then you're looking at a chicken that has a lifespan of 5 to 8 years. So you do get a good amount of time with this chicken. Obviously, the egg laying portion of the life won't be that long and will definitely slow down a few years into it. But if you're looking for just a pretty chicken to have around in your flock and you're not raising meat birds, you can get a good 5 to 8 years out of this breed. So all in all, the Sicilian Buttercup is a beautiful, rare chicken that we are honored to have in our small flock, and is a great alarm system. I think protects the other chickens well, gets along with them just fine, and is hardy in the heat. Not so good for the cold, but if you want just a beautiful chicken with some medium-sized white eggs, like I said, about 150 to 180 a year, it's a great breed. You can't go wrong. I do recommend them to add to your flock just for some variety, if those situations fit you well. Thank you for watching this, and we'll see you on the next review.